Hey guys, real quick before the video starts, there's a spoiler warning here. I'll be talking about plot points and bosses from Final Fantasy VII OG that will likely make an appearance in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So if you don't want to see or hear about that, this is not the video for you. Now, on to the video. Hello. We are going to do a bit of a different video here. I want to talk about 5 enemies and locations that haven't really been confirmed and are likely to get the Hell House treatment. A lot of people already think that the heavy tank, the Tricera tank, I think is what it's called, in Gongaga is already going to get a Hell House treatment. But there are 5 other locations and enemies that I think could get the same treatment because of how wild and out there they are. It wouldn't really make sense to put them in the world, if that makes any sense. But before we get into that, let's talk about all the bosses that have pretty much been confirmed and that are expected to show up. So first we have the Materi Keeper. This boss obviously shows up in the Calm flashback this time. This enemy is normally the dragon in the Calm flashback that Cloud and Sephiroth take on. So I find it interesting that they're swapping it up with the Materi Keeper. One, it makes sense. It kind of gives you more of a chance to learn the ropes and stuff for new players and everybody coming in that didn't play Rebirth. But I think there's also a reason that they're going to swap it up and give you a different enemy. When Cloud and his crew come to that area, they'll fight a new enemy that's not going to be Materi Keeper. But more on that later. So first we have the Calm flashback, the Materi Keeper. Then we have the Marshlands, which is going to be of course, Midgar-Zalem. Don't know if this is going to be a hunt because those are in the game, or if this is going to be a boss that we need to beat to get to the next area, which would be the Mythal Mines. Then of course we have Junon, we have Bottom Swell. We saw that in the gameplay trailer. The cargo ship is Rebirth. That's our first real encounter with Jenova in the OG game. So we're likely to get another Jenova fight there. Then we make our way to the Coral Prison. We get Dyne. How they handle Dyne this time is questionable. Are they going to have him actually jump off the ledge, or is something else going to happen? Because that's a pretty serious thing. So hopefully they keep everything pretty tense and hardcore. It just makes the impact that much more. So hopefully they keep him jumping off the cliff. Then when you get to the gongaga area, here when you first enter this area, it's optional, and you come across Reno and Rude talking about Tifa. The only thing with this area that could change is, unfortunately, the Japanese voice actor for Reno passed away. This said that they did get most of his stuff done, but his role could be dwindled down a little bit because of the voice actor not being in the game anymore. So this boss could be Reno and Rude. It could be Reno, Rude, and Elena, or it could just be Rude and Elena. But since Nomura did say that he's confirmed to still be voicing him, at least in the earlier parts of the game, whenever he had all of his voice lines and stuff like that completed and done. So this will probably still be Reno and Rude if we come here. Then we get to Cosmo Canyon, where you fight Gene Attack, or Gene Attack. I don't know really how to say that. Then we have Nibelheim. This area is notorious for Vincent. And to get Vincent, who used to be an optional character, you had to defeat Lost Number to get the key to the coffin area. I don't think Lost Number is going to be optional this time. I think it's going to be mandatory. So I really hope we get to fight Lost Number. This is probably one of my favorite boss fights in the original game. Anyway, moving on to Rocket Town. Of course, we have Palmer. We fight him, and he gets hurt after this fight. I believe in the OG game, this is the last time we see him in the game. So I'm hoping that we get to see more of him and we get to see like what happens after that, because I don't think it's ever touched on again. I could be wrong on that one. But this is Rocket Town where we fight Palmer. Then we get to the Temple of the Ancients where you fight Demon's Gate and the Red Dragon, pretty much back to back. Then we get to the dreaded Forgotten Capital where you fight Jenova Life. And that's where Rebirth is going to end, is at the Forgotten Capital. So there's that right there alone that's to be expected. That's a lot of bosses. But there are a few areas that I didn't mention because there's not the areas that we're going to be going to, but they're just not going to have bosses. But I think they're going to have bosses there because of how wild the enemies are. Some of the enemies in these areas are so wild and crazy looking that you can't really just have them roaming around the map. It just wouldn't make sense. So let's get into the unknown bosses. But before we do that, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. With the Game Awards just around the corner, I believe it's 4 days away as of the recording of this video, I'll be covering the trailer and breaking it down frame by frame to go over everything that was missed and glanced over that many people didn't catch. So you don't want to miss that, because we go over every little juicy detail. But on to the unknown or mystery bosses that have not been confirmed, that these are all just speculation. So the Mythal Mines shows a spot where the team gets split up. You have Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa fighting Elena, and you have Red and Barrett fighting this mystery enemy. I looked in the Mythal Mine enemy list and I could not find anything this could be, except it could be the Madog if I said that correctly. It could just be like a new version of it, or some kind of crystal version of it, or I guess mithril version. But that's what I think this could be. It's going to be the Madog. Obviously, it's a boss fight. So you have the Mythal Mines for the Madog and Elena, because that's a new fight. You don't ever fight Elena there. You encounter the Turks, but they never actually confront you. They just they gripe at you. Then when you get to the Mount Coral area, we come across this enemy that's almost like a dinosaur type thing. It's the Bagnadana, but this is encountered near the Maka reactor in this area. And normally you can steal Red 13's diamond pin weapon from this enemy. So look for that, possibly if it stays the same. Then we get on to Mount Nebel. Normally you fight the Materi Keeper here, but because that's in the calm flashback, two things can happen here. You can either face the dragon that was in the OG flashback that Sephiroth just bodies, or we can fight this new enemy that's called a Screamer that is normally a normal encounter in this area in the OG game. This looks very similar to the Madog mentioned before that was in Mythal Mines. It's just darker. It's like a reskin. So where the Madog in Mythal Mines could be made of mithril, the one in Mount Nibel could be made of Mako or some new type of rocks. I don't know. I hope they don't do this one in particular, because I don't really want them to just reskin two bosses. That would be kind of silly, but if they do it, it's fine. I'll fight it. I mean, it is what it is. Then we get to the Gold Saucer, and there are 3 enemies here that you fight in the battle square that we could fight while we talk to Dio, trying to get that special item without saying too much. We have the Stilva, which is pretty much a reskinned red version of the Materi Keeper. Then you have the Blue Dragon, which is also found here, just a reskinned version of the red and the regular dragon. Then you have what I think should be the boss here, because it's different than everything else we've seen so far, is the Ghost Ship. I hope that we get to see the Ghost Ship here, because this enemy is super cool looking. And there's only one other area in the game that we see it, which is would be part 3 in the underwater reactor area. But I hope that Dio's got like just a ghost ship enemy just chilling, and that's like his champion or whatever. So that's who I hope we face at Gold Saucer. Then we have the Bone Village, and this was the only enemy here that I could see being a boss, and there may not be any bosses here at all, but this enemy is called the Acrophes. It looks like some kind of like crab serpent hybrid type deal. That's why I think it could be a boss, because it's pretty wild and it looks like it could be pretty large. So we could come across this right outside of Bone Village in the Coral Valley. And then, like I mentioned earlier in the video, we have the gongaga reactor, or ruined reactor enemy, the heavy tank. This is a normal enemy in the game before, but because it's so wild and out there, maybe when we go in to grab the materia there, I think it's Titan, we could get bombarded or surprise attacked by this heavy tank, or it's a Tricera tank that is guarding this materia. So there's that. There's also going to be hunts in this game, as shown by Quasicodal. So some of these enemies, and even enemies that's not even in the game, we see this with Quasicodal, who actually isn't even in the original FF7, but made its first appearance in FF8. So that means we could see some enemies from previous games make an appearance in these types of hunts. Which leads me to the question, who would you like to see from a previous Final Fantasy game show up as a hunt in FF7 Rebirth? I'd like to see the Bandersnatch from Final Fantasy 13-2. But if you liked the video, be sure to let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. And if you want more FF7 content, be sure to check out this video for the latest trailer breakdown, where I go through every little single detail in preparation for the Game Awards trailer that hopefully will drop in 4 days. So if that does drop, I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Peace.